Hi, in today's video, we're going to answer the question, how can changing your mindset help you embrace change? Change is inevitable if we want to make progress. By definition, progress requires change, so we got to be able to learn how to embrace that and even celebrate it. The first part of this video, we're going to look at why change is so important. Then we're going to kind of look into what makes change difficult for many people. We'll look at how mindset impacts that, particularly the strategies for changing that mindset. Fourth, we're going to look at the benefits for being able to embrace change. And of course, lastly, we're going to look at a real-life example. So change is inevitable if you want to progress, right? If you want to improve or get better, by definition, something has to change. I don't care whether that's individually, corporately, organizationally, in society, it doesn't matter. Change has to happen if we're going to make any sort of improvement. Now, it is true, not all change is good, right? We can change something and get negative consequences because of that change. That change might not work out the way we thought it should or the way we hoped that it would. That would then necessitate change again. So if you want to get better, if we want to make improvements in anything, you must be able to embrace change. Now, change also by definition means going outside our comfort zone, right? We get comfortable with the way things are often, and we want to keep the way things are. We feel secure and comfortable within that. That can create fear at an unconscious level that prevents us from embracing change. So that fear is what we then need to address in terms of our emotions and our mindset. So to embrace change, we've got to change our mindset to believe that change is important and good. And yes, we've got to be willing to take a risk because sometimes we might make a mistake in that change. We don't just change things for change's sake, right? We change things with the intent of improvement or intent of getting better. So once we begin to shift some of those beliefs around why we need to change and that motivation, we can begin to accept it. And this notion or idea of being able to look at the risk involved. There are 4 power questions that can be very helpful in this, in shaping your mindset and those beliefs around embracing change. One of the questions is, what will happen when I do X, right? What won't happen if I do X? What will happen if I don't do X? And what won't happen if I don't do X, right? Those 4 questions fit into that Cartesian logic, right? You have a positive, negative, a negative, positive, and a positive, negative question. Those questions really help you kind of evaluate the risk, embrace some of the change, because ultimately the belief that you must embrace change in order to get better is going to dominate your thinking and the process of learning to embrace, set that mindset up to embrace change. So again, when we look at shifting a mindset, it's about shifting these beliefs. It's about adopting new beliefs. And how you do that, there's a couple different things you do. You repeat mantras, you repeat positive affirmations, auto-suggestion, right? You make up some sayings that you can repeat over and over to help you think about why it's so important to change. And that importance, when you repeat it over and over, will help you begin to adopt that belief that change is vital. The other thing that you can do is understand how you're representing that belief in the first place, right? So if you are fearful of change, how are you representing that in your mind? What are those submodalities or the descriptors that your brain creates in your mind as you visualize whatever that imagery is to you, right? This idea of change, if it's bringing up fear, how are you representing that? And I literally mean how. You got to look at the submodalities, the characteristics of the picture. Is it color? Is it black and white? Is it a movie? Is it a still frame? Is it big? Is it life size, smaller than life? You look at all those characteristics, and then you change those to something that you doubt, and then you represent this idea that change is good. Change is a wonderful thing. Change makes you better. It makes you stronger. You represent that somehow, and you have all those characteristics of the things you believe to be true. And you go through a process for just visually replaying that over and over. It's a swish pattern that you can utilize to do that. So that's the strategies that using auto-suggestion and verbalization as well as visualization in order to create that powerful belief that change is a good thing. Change is your friend. Change is what allows you to progress and get better. So if you think about whether it's professionally, athletically, performing arts, academically, any area of your life, if you think about what you want to accomplish, right? You are at a certain place and you have, hopefully, certain goals you want to achieve. Well, to get from where you are to where you want to be, you must move. Movement means change, right? So this whole notion of achievement, this whole notion of being able to get those promotions and make more money and find more happiness and improve your health and improve your fitness, improve your relationships, any of those things that you desire, any of those things that you were like motivated to begin to achieve, necessitate change because you aren't there now. So to get there, you must change, right? So that whole idea, that whole motivation behind change being good really is at the core of everything, because if we aren't exactly where we want to be, and there's always room for improvement, even as you knock off one goal, there's probably another goal to get you even a little bit better. That necessitates this idea of change, and is constant and never ending. We should always be seeking to grow and improve, and growth by very definition means we are changing. So we can look at some examples that are broader than any one individual, but required societal change on a mass scale. If you think back to the Industrial Revolution and the advent and development of electric power, there were some people who were like scared of it. Oh, geez, I don't know. It can create damage and put people out of work, and it'll do all these bad things, which is common with new technology. There's some people who are fearing it. And yeah, sure, all new technology might have some potential negative drawbacks, but we needed entire societal change to embrace this change of electric power. And when we did, and when the leaders began to say, oh, look what it can do, look at all these benefits, this is going to change mankind, and it did. And when society began to embrace it, well, just look around your house right now. There is, I'm willing to bet you, nothing that you see that was not impacted by the use of electrical power. It has made us far more efficient, our life so much better, to a mass degree, this development of electric power, which entailed or required this willingness to embrace change on a mass scale. Let me give you one other example. Dr. Ray Stevens is the CEO of Structural Therapeutics, which is a biotech firm, but he developed a way to find and discover the structure of proteins by utilizing some new technology, right? So he was always looking for ways to do something better. We got to figure out a more efficient way to find the structure of these proteins, because that's so crucial for the development of life-saving drugs. If we can really figure this out on a mass scale in a far more efficient way, we'd be much better at being able to create drugs that could save people's lives. So with this mindset of looking at disrupting the status quo and trying to find better ways of doing things, trying to find ways to change the way things are done, they looked at the technology of facial recognition and said, oh, why can't we apply that to discovering what proteins look like? And they did, right? They were looking at ways to change the way things were done, and they found ways, made things better, and are now creating some game-changing drugs for diabetics and heart disease and other crucially needed areas of health and well-being. I invite you to subscribe to our channel and check out some of the other videos, but you also might want to check out our free webinar, Enhance Your Students' Performance to Next Level Success in Athletics, Academics, the Arts, and in Life. Check that webinar out today. The link will be in the description for this video.